Many want the title but not the role. Yesterday, I was thinking about that while going to the nearest supermarket. Yes, I am still in Brasilia, Brazil's capital. I have often said when presenting on the victorious woman in French that we live in a world of illusions. Reality is not always what it appears to be. People often want to appear to be something they are not, rather than simply be. They care about the image, perception, or status, how others see them, the impression they make, the facade they project. They avoid the substance, effort, or authenticity behind that image, the actual living, practicing, or embodying of what they claim to be. In 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 7, it is written, "But the Lord said to Samuel, do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him." The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. People are drawn to the prestige, recognition, or status that comes with a position or role. It's the outward symbol, what others see, the power, the respect, and perceived success. It's applicable in careers, leadership, and even in personal life. People may want the glory of being a CEO, a manager, a parent, or a public figure, but not the heavy lifting, discipline, or accountability that comes with it. Many want to be married, but they don't want to fully embrace the role of a husband or wife. While exploring South America, I have encountered many people curious about whether I am married. Are you married? Have you been married? The answer is no. I was in a relationship a long time ago, from the age of 19 to the age of 27. I was young, naive, and ignorant about what true love really entails. I entered that relationship without proper knowledge of the role of a husband and wife, or an understanding of biblical truth. It felt as though I was in a relationship with a veil over my eyes. I wanted to do better than my parents, yet I didn't have the tools to make that possible. I once believed that love alone was enough, that with love you could overcome anything. I was wrong. Love by itself cannot sustain a marriage. I had not fully considered the importance of shared values, mutual respect, and a willingness to grow together. As a God-fearing woman, years ago, I realized that it is essential to marry a man who is submitted to God, who has his own personal relationship with Him, with God, and who possesses a teachable spirit, a man who is committed to growing into a better version of himself, who will fight for our marriage to thrive, and who will choose to love me faithfully, no matter the circumstances. Unfortunately, at this time, when I started this relationship, I didn't know that love is a weekend. It is written in Song of Solomon, chapter 8, verse for. We often say it feels right, but feelings are not always a guide. Sex makes feelings stronger. It bounds, it convinces, it can trick us into thinking something is right. Even Christians can trust that feeling of being loved more than God. We act on desire, not on guidance. But God never told us to follow our feelings. He called us to follow Him. When desire leads, God is pushed aside. What feels like love may just be attachment. What feels like peace may just be comfort. The real question is, are you being guided by your feeling or by God? I don't want to be married just for the sake of it. I don't want a title, a ceremony, or a relationship that looks only right on the surface. I am 37 years old, and what I desire is a marriage with God at the center. One marked by love, respect, unity, and commitment. The Bible is very clear that marriage is not something to enter into casually, and a husband is not a wall a man takes on halfway. Scriptures calls husbands to love sacrificially. In Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25, we read, "Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her." This kind of love is selfless. It's not driven by comfort or convenience, but by commitment. It places the well-being of the wife above personal desire. The Bible also speaks about honor and understanding within marriage. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7 reminds husbands to live with their wives in an understanding way and to show them honor. A biblical husband doesn't live only for himself. He actively nurtures and protects his wife emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Leadership in marriage is often misunderstood. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 23 says, "For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church." But this leadership is not about control or authority for its own sake. It is servant leadership modeled on Christ himself. It means taking responsibility, making wise decisions, and valuing the wife as an equal partner whose voice matters. The Bible also speaks clearly about provision and care for one's household. It is written in 1 Timothy chapter 5 verse 8, "Anyone who does not provide for their relatives, and especially for their own household, has denied the faith." Provision here goes beyond finances. It includes emotional stability, spiritual guidance, and creating a home that feels safe and secure. A husband is also called to lead spiritually. In Joshua chapter 24, verse 15, we read, "As for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." This speaks to setting the spiritual direction of the home through prayers, personal example, and daily obedience to God. Marriage in the Bible is a covenant, not a convenience. Malachi chapter 2, verse 14 and 15 reminds us that God is a witness to marriage and calls for faithfulness within it. A husband is, therefore, called to be loyal, trustworthy, and committed, reflecting God's own faithfulness. Now, I'm not looking for a perfect man because I am not perfect myself. I believe in growth. I believe in becoming. As Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Marriage is about two people choosing to go together. What I desire is a God-fearing man. A man after God's own heart. A man who is submitted to God before he ever seeks to lead anyone else. Because submission to God shapes character. A man who truly submits to God allows God's principle to guide his decisions, attitudes, and actions. His life is marked by humility, patience, and integrity. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 22, verse 37, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind." A man with a genuine personal relationship with God doesn't rely on his wife to complete him spiritually. He comes into the relationship grounded and whole, ready to give love and respect. The way a man treats his wife is a reflection of his faith. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25 calls husbands to love as Christ loved the church, with sacrifice and consistency. And Galatians chapter 5, verse 22 and 23 reminds us that the fruit of the Spirit, love, patience, kindness, faithfulness, and self-control, naturally shapes how a person treats others. So, yes, I am 37 years old and I want to get married. By the world's standards, I should be panicking, but I am not, because I trust that God's timing is perfect, and I would rather wait for a man who fully embraces his calling as a husband than settle for a marriage that simply looks right on the outside.